Now I'll give you an example. I chose clothes. Clothes are fantastic because we all know that we do get rid of them or we don't. Simple as that. We shed the summer, shed the winter, or not. Shed the old shabbies. So I've chosen my shawl that was my mother's. It's a woolen shawl. And this exercise I did some time back, and I'd totally forgotten about these items. So clearly I'd cleared any subconscious blockages once doing this exercise. So this woolen shawl, the reason why I chose it was I don't wear it and my mother's passed on. So my feelings prior to that was, wow, it's good quality, it's got sentimental value, and the word ungrateful came up for me. A feeling of I'm being ungrateful. Also, because of the sentimental value, I had feelings that I should hang on to it because it was my mother's. Then I had feelings, and even the little voice inside my head saying, just do it. And other voices saying I'm doing the wrong thing. So record those feelings around that item. Then, upon giving it, it was actually a good feeling. So I just wrote the word good in there. And then afterwards, it was a feeling of satisfaction because the lady I actually gave that to was truly grateful. So now that's just one example, but I'm going to give you another one. I had two black coats, two heavy, long black coats, and the reason why I chose those was I hadn't worn them for many winters, and I had a new lightweight one. So that's my reasons, that's why. I felt prior to giving them away, oh, someone will like these. I had the thoughts of, let them go, just surrender them, it's fine. And that was at the time of giving them up. And actually the feeling after was heavy old things, feeling like they were holding me back. It was a kind of a relief feeling. And not to mention all the space that I had in the wardrobe afterwards. So I also had, would you believe, 5 other coats. I come from a very cold climate. So
Obviously.
a subconscious patterning that you need coats. So I had these other 5 coats. My reason was to say, oh, I don't wear them. And my immediate thoughts were, what a waste. Maybe I should keep them in some day, in case someone stays and they're cold. And then the thought came up, or the feelings of, whoa, I spent a lot of money on them, what a waste.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Part of it.
I can relate to that so clearly.
Right, and it's not until we actually stop and check in with our feelings we get clarity. Because we just we don't even think about it, we either get rid of it or we don't. It's as simple as that. So bingo, just from doing those 3 items, I came up with 2 underlying beliefs. Now the first one was the belief that I'm wasteful and ungrateful. I knew that came straight from my grandma. Now the second belief was I can't let it go because I spent too much on it. Now that is a straight out lack mentality. I'll lose if I give it away. Now is that the truth or just a belief? Am I going to lose because I'm giving it away? I spent too much on it. So when I said, what a waste, I thought, hang on a minute, this waste is actually me holding on to them because someone else could be using them more than me. So holding on to them is actually being wasteful. So we can flip it around and make a new fantastic perspective. It's a very useful tool to add to your insight basket you can use when you're decluttering. So
it is, and I can understand it though, because as you come from, like your grandparents where they had the depression and, there was a huge lack of material things for them. And it's no wonder that we grow up with a lot of those beliefs.
Absolutely. So,
I know sometimes they have even the other side of things where you might have food, for example, and you might have it on the, you might go out for dinner and you paid for it and you think, but I'm full, but perhaps I should keep eating it because otherwise it's a waste or I paid for it. It's the same type of thing, and you can understand how people can put on too much weight sometimes just by that type of mentality.
Absolutely. So doing this small exercise on decluttering your clothes, for example, or what you choose to get rid of, and it could be the stockpile of food in the pantry that's out of date. Limiting beliefs going to spread through all the different areas. So if it is about food, it'll just be very interesting. Same beliefs around food for me. We couldn't waste what was on our plate. And my husband being a chef, Well, my chef, he overcooks and always leaves a little bit in the saucepan. It triggers me. So, all right. So that's decluttering. So we need to do this little exercise to see what's underlying and to create some beautiful space.
Because it is a nice feeling when you've got that space, isn't it? It's a really good feeling once you've, I can work so much better in my office when I've cleaned up or cleared out.
Absolutely. And these are tangible, obvious spaces and voids that we're creating to allow more in. But we want to look at also the incompletions inside ourselves, what we haven't completed on the inside. So because if we're clogged up, guess what? We've got coagulation going on as well. We're going to be blocked and we're not going to allow some beautiful decluttering in our head space. And everyone probably could relate to the confusion and the indecisiveness and the lack of clarity there. So we're going to focus now on your incompletions. So this practice will certainly create some great space. So when's now a great time to start and get ready for the new year, hey? So
absolutely.
Now it's really easy to run through your tangible goal lists and either tick them off as totally complete, well done, congratulations, hope you rewarded yourself, or highlight and circle them as ongoing or incomplete, or totally delete them. Now these non-tangible goals, they're not as clear. So I'm going to ask you some questions that will assist you with these non-material completions. Now I'm guessing that many of you wouldn't have any goals of this nature on the list in the first place, and that is totally okay, it's totally fine, because now's an opportunity to set some fresh ones up for 2013. So we sent out 6 points as a guide, but I'm going to run back through them for you and give you some questions that will really help you answer those questions, or those 6 points to help you understand this whole concept. So first of all, I want you to list anything that you think is an incompletion. This is not something we can do now, but we're just going to run through the points. If that's good with everyone out there. So there's no right or wrong answer here. Everybody's unique, everybody's different. So, and lists are great because they do free up your mind from carrying all that information, and also it gives you a way to actually acknowledge your actions.
Now, if they didn't get the email with those 6 lists, 6 questions, we'll have a download for them.
That's great, and I'll go through the 6 different points and give those questions. It's just for you to get an overall view of today. So it's all very well having this list, but we also need a plan which you will then actually action. So ask yourself and brainstorm by listing all the categories that apply to you, and then we're going to add some more detail to make this plan. Different categories are going to be for different people, and you can make those categories up yourself. I'm not going to go into those details, but my first point was, what situations and people have I avoided this year? Family and friends, work, other. So firstly, what situations and people have I avoided this year? And the first question, so don't have to write these down because you're going to get a copy of them if you choose afterwards. So ask yourself, when will you address them? Or if you choose not to address them, write that down as well. I'm not going to address it, so that you actually get it out of your head just for the moment. So it's an agreement you're making with yourself. And like I said, it's just for the moment because it really needs to be sorted. Okay, point number 2, have I avoided speaking the truth to anyone? Ask. These are the questions to ask around that one. If I don't speak the truth, how will it affect me going forward in 2013? And ask the ask the question, who actually owns the problem? Is it your problem or is it their problem? Can I actually do something about it or not? If you can't, just accept it and let it go. It's their problem. We all spend so much time, or not we all, but a lot of us spend a lot of time worrying about other people's problems. So
we're talking more deep stuff here, aren't we? So we're not talking about, somebody says, do I look good in this outfit? And you go, yes, but you don't really mean it. You just want to make them feel better and they've already bought it. You're talking more along the line of perhaps
right.
relationships where you really want to say something and you don't because you don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings, but it's something that might just keep coming up all the time. And
yeah, that's it. And relationships personally, it can be relationships at work, relationships with the in-laws, whatever's going on there. It cannot just only be negative emotions or what you perceive as negative. There's still a communication from your subconscious mind. They can also be good feelings as well. What have I not expressed to people around me? Do I not tell them I love them? Do I not tell them I appreciate them? So are you going to do something about it? Ask yourself, will I do something about it or not? So, and if you choose to let it run a bit longer and you'll get to it when the time's right, reschedule it. So it's a biggie in decluttering the mind. Get it out of your head and make a note. Note to self, I'm going to sort out this issue that keeps recurring over and over again. Because the actual truth of it is it won't go away until you express it, and it will still add to the clutter, but rescheduling it just buys you a little bit of space, and we all need to do that sometimes. So,
and it may not be the right time. I mean, it may be work related, couldn't it? You know, with your employees or your employer.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the discernment you have to make. It has to be the right time. Obviously spontaneity comes into it as well, but we're all human, we're all realistic. We have to work things in when they're appropriate to work them in. So on this conscious level, you will decide or not to decide for whatever reason. It's, like we say, it's the wrong timing. I'm too busy. It's Christmas. But you've made that conscious choice, and that's fantastic. You made a choice. Yes, I'm sorting it. No, I'm not. So, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run through explaining the brain really simplistically. So it's actually divided into two main parts, the conscious and the subconscious mind. Okay, scientists agree that the conscious brain is 2 to 5% only. The rest of it, the subconscious mind, is 95 to 98%.
Wow.
Only the conscious mind gets to choose. The subconscious mind, therefore, can only react. It doesn't have the ability to choose. So it reacts in the form of feelings and emotions, stress and pain, both emotional stress and pain, and physical. So I'm going to ask you, Rach, I think this is a pretty easy question. Which part of your brain will always win or be the driver? The subconscious, 95 to 98%, or that conscious 2 to 10%?
Well, I think the subconscious has got the numbers.
Yeah, and how many of us just keep shutting that subconscious mind up and shutting those feelings and emotions down? But guess what? They're going to win. So
it's like having a manager. I'm just thinking about a manager in a factory. You know, there's like 2 managers and 98 workers. And if the workers decide that they're not going to change, the managers can't do much about it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So they've got to manage those people well so they're all on the same path.
Yep, that's it. So why don't people just choose to take the shortcut? Let's just go straight to the subconscious mind, stop masking symptoms and taking procrastination pills, if you like. Just deal with it. So this is a conscious decision to reschedule, okay? That's a 2 to 10%. It said, I will reschedule it, but the emotions will still be there, long and strong, until they're expressed. So that's probably enough at this point on that topic. So we've got a lot to cover, and otherwise it gets a bit deep there. So point number 3, what choices have I avoided making? And the question for that one is ask, by not making these choices, what feeling am I trying to make go away?
So perhaps if you're in an environment where you're selling, for example, and you decided that you're not going to make a few phone calls, and that could be because you don't want to be rejected or feel rejected.
Yeah, spot on. You've nailed it. That's a great example. I'm sure everyone can ask themselves really deeply, why am I avoiding making this choice? It either makes them sad, they're scared, they fear rejection. That's the fear. Makes them angry if they make that choice. It makes them feel unworthy if they make that choice. So it's not about perhaps making the choice, it's about finding out what's going on at that deeper level. So in question 4, well, the point number 4 we had was, what issues have I left unresolved? And the question here is, they're unresolved because So that could be similar to the one before as well. It just gets you to think a little bit more deeply. Number 5, what promises have I left unfulfilled? And are you actually going to action them?
I promised myself that I wouldn't drink as much coffee, perhaps.
That could be one. So why are you still drinking so much coffee?
Because I didn't really intend to stop. I thought somebody else might like to hear that.
And the question, and then just ask yourself, keep going deeper, because. And then you get to the bottom of it.